The rain battered against the windows, drumming a relentless rhythm that matched Lila's restless heartbeat. She sat curled up on the small sofa in their shared apartment, hugging her knees to her chest. The soft hum of the heater was the only sound besides the storm outside. Kai paced near the kitchen, his brow furrowed in frustration. Ever since Lila had moved in, he'd felt a strange, protective tension he couldn't shake. And now, seeing her so quiet, so alone, something in him ached. Lila, Kai's voice was low, almost cautious, as if approaching a fragile vase. Are you okay? She looked up, eyes glistening from unshed tears. I just feel so lonely sometimes, Kai, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Kai's heart clenched. The truth in her words struck him like lightning. Without thinking, he closed the distance between them, seating himself beside her. His hand brushed against hers, tentative at first, then firm. You're not alone. Not ever. Not while I'm here. She leaned into him, her head resting against his shoulder. The warmth of his body was comforting, a shield against the storm. Kai tightened his arm around her, and she could feel the tension in him, the jealousy, the worry, the desire. But outside the window of their cozy apartment, another presence lingered. Adrien. He had been watching from across the street, his usual playful smirk softened by something more vulnerable. His heart raced at the sight of Lila in Kai's embrace. Something possessive flared within him, and he couldn't resist stepping into their orbit. The next day at university, Adrien found a way to corner Lila, leaning casually against the doorway of the art studio. You know, I think you looked happier last night curled up on your own, he teased, though his gray eyes were intense. But I can fix that. Lila's cheeks flushed, torn between embarrassment and the thrill of his attention. Adrien, she started, unsure of what to say. I'm serious, he said, stepping closer. I can make you laugh, make you feel wanted. His hand brushed against hers, a spark of electricity jolting up her arm. But Kai, who had followed Lila to check on her after noticing her distracted behavior in class, suddenly appeared behind Adrien. His jaw tightened. Stay away from her, Kai said, the usually calm tone in his voice now charged with warning. Adrien grinned, unbothered. Or what, Kai? You'll yell at me? Because we both know yelling doesn't work. Their heated exchange left Lila caught in the middle, her heart torn. She wanted both the safety of Kai's care and the thrill of Adrien's charm. The tension in the air was palpable, charged with desire and unspoken emotion. That evening, back at the apartment, Lila confronted Kai. I don't want to fight, Kai. I want to feel like I can choose. Kai's hands cupped her face, eyes dark with emotion. Then choose me, Lila. I'll give you everything I've been holding back. No games, no doubts. Just me. Her lips trembled, and she leaned into him, kissing him softly, then more passionately as the storm outside mirrored the fire between them. Kai's arms wrapped around her tightly, holding her as if he could protect her from all the world's storms. Meanwhile, Adrien watched from the corner of the street once more, but this time, there was a subtle shift. A reluctant smile touched his lips. He knew now where her heart truly belonged. Later, under the quiet night sky, Lila and Kai lay together on the small balcony, wrapped in a shared blanket. Stars sparkled above, and the air was filled with warmth, kisses, and laughter. Adrien, true to his word, had become a loyal friend, helping the couple grow stronger rather than compete with them. For the first time in weeks, Lila felt completely safe, loved, wanted, and free. The afternoon sun streamed through the apartment windows, casting warm light across the living room. Lila sat on the couch, sketchbook in hand, trying to focus on her art, but she couldn't ignore the energy buzzing between Kai and Adrien. Adrien had insisted on stopping by just to drop off some notes for their class, but the mischievous gleam in his eyes told a different story. Kai, ever vigilant, lingered by the kitchen counter, arms crossed and jaw tight. Hey, Lila, Adrien said smoothly, leaning casually against the doorframe. His eyes traveled over her, a playful glint in their depths. You've been spending a lot of time with Mr. Overprotective here. Don't you think it's a little restrictive? Kai's fists clenched. I'm not restricting anything. I'm keeping her safe. Adrien's grin widened. Safe, or selfish? He teased, inching closer to Lila. She's allowed to laugh, to have fun, to breathe. Lila felt heat rise in her cheeks, torn between exasperation and the thrill of his attention. Adrien, she warned, though her lips curved slightly at his teasing. Relax, I'm just saying, Adrien said, lightly brushing his hand against her arm. The contact was brief but electric, and Kai's protective instinct flared immediately. Without thinking, Kai stepped forward and took Lila's hand, holding it possessively. I don't like the way you're looking at her, he said, voice low and dangerous. Adrien chuckled, leaning in slightly, just close enough to make Kai tense. Looking? I'm admiring, he said. Is that such a crime? Lila squeezed Kai's hand, sensing the storm brewing between them. Her heart raced, torn between amusement at Adrien's antics and the fierce protectiveness in Kai's gaze. For the next hour, the playful war continued. Adrien made small, teasing gestures, brushing against her shoulder, whispering jokes only she could hear, catching her attention with sly smiles. Each time, Kai responded with subtle but unmistakable displays of possessiveness, holding her closer, resting his hand over hers, shadowing her movements. Finally, Lila set down her sketchbook and stepped between them, raising her hands. Enough, she said, laughing, though her heart was still pounding. This isn't a game. I care about both of you, but you two can't just fight over me like children. Adrien smirked, shrugging. I wasn't fighting, much, he admitted, a playful sparkle in his eyes. Kai, still holding Lila's hand, leaned down and whispered, I don't need games to know where my heart belongs. The words sent a shiver down her spine. Lila leaned into Kai, pressing her lips to his cheek, then to his lips in a soft, lingering kiss. Adrien watched with an almost wistful expression, the corners of his mouth twitching. Though a pang of jealousy cut through him, there was a quiet acceptance in his eyes. He could see the depth of Kai and Lila's connection. Later that evening, the three of them sat on the balcony. Adrien had brought snacks, joking and laughing with Lila, while Kai wrapped a blanket around her shoulders, brushing a strand of hair from her face. The tension from earlier had eased, replaced by warmth and familiarity. Adrien leaned back, stretching his arms behind his head. I guess I'll admit it, you two are pretty solid together, he said with a small, reluctant smile. I'll behave, mostly. Lila rested her head on Kai's shoulder, heart swelling with affection for both the protective Kai and the playful Adrien. She realized she didn't have to choose between the excitement and the safety, she just had to embrace her feelings and trust the people who loved her. The night sky spread above them like a velvet blanket, stars twinkling. Kai kissed the top of her head, and Adrien nudged her playfully, making her laugh. Despite the lingering sparks of jealousy, a sense of peace settled over them. For the first time, Lila understood that love didn't always mean conflict, sometimes it meant boundaries, laughter, and the gentle, unspoken promise of being there for each other.